by stating your first and last name and spelling it?
Sandra Bloom, SAUNDRA BLOOM.
And you're the elections administrator?
Yes.
Okay. So kind of give me some background on the procedures here when someone, say, I know, they come in here and they want to vote in both, but it's Republican all the way for local. So kind of tell me what you all are doing.
Okay. Yes, the primary election is basically a nomination process. And so each party is holding their own primary. And people file to run on one party or another. And we have a unique situation here this year because the only local race we have is County Commissioner Precinct 1. And all of those candidates filed on the Republican ticket. So if you live in that precinct and you are normally a Democrat, then you cannot vote for one of the commissioners. You would have to vote on the Republican ballot in order to vote in the commissioner's race. So in essence, if they are wanting to vote Democrat in, say, in the presidential, because that's what everybody's thinking of right now is the presidential, you have to, and you want to vote Democrat, you lose that vote in that local county commissioner's race. Now in November, you don't have to declare a party. You can vote for either or, because everything's on the ballot. But this is just the primary to see who's going to be on that November ballot.
Okay. And so why do they have to make the decision between either?
Well, because there's two different ballots, and you cannot vote in both primaries. That's constitutional law, that has been around for 200 years or more. And, it's just part of our two-party system that we have. This is really nothing new. It's just sort of a unique situation in this particular year.
Okay, what would you say to people who come in here and they after they leave, they're not able to vote locally, and they feel like they're like being cheated out of being able to vote for people here because they want to vote for the presidential?
Well, that's just one of the choices we have to make. That I can remember a time when, we would have locals on the Democrat and on the Republican, and you might want your neighbor, somebody that you really want to vote for, maybe running on one ticket, and then somebody else you're wanting to vote for is on the Republican. Well, you have to make that decision. And I usually always tell people, look to see which vote is the most important for you, or that's the way I've always looked at it personally. Where is my vote going to count the most? Is it going to count in the sheriff's race or the judge's race or a commissioner's race, and decide which party I want to go with? Because, we're an open primary state, which, we're bound to that party just in that primary cycle. The next year you may vote a different way. The only thing that you're bound to is runoff. If you vote in the Republican primary, you have to vote in the Republican runoff. You can't go and vote in the Democratic runoff. So, because of how you voted in the primary.
And does this happen often, or is this kind of like?
It's not real common, but it comes up, like I say, when we have, say, all the offices are contested, it can be, you may want to vote for somebody, because you know them and you're not, our local races are not as partisan as the federal or even the statewide races are. So, it's happened to where, you might feel like, okay, I want to vote for my commissioner. Well, can't vote for the sheriff or something like that. It does happen. This is not a unique. It's just unique in the fact that we only have one race locally, you know, that makes you choose between a federal office and your county office.
And what would you say to someone who kind of doesn't understand, and you just kind of explain it simply to them, just because, you know, you might not know that you're not allowed to vote on certain tickets if it's just strictly Republican?
Right. Well, like I say, you know, that's why this is called the primary, because it's kind of a prerequisite to the general election. This is a nominating process. And, you know, like I say, this is something that's 2,000 years old, 200 years old. Maybe it's something that, you know, we need to look at. I think that's why we have a low turnout in the primaries, is because a lot of people don't want to align themselves with either party. And there is the independent party, but they have a whole different set of rules. And it's just common, you know, that we've had the Democrat and the Republican for, you know, as long as we've had a state here, you know.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just encourage people to ask questions, because we are here to help them, and hopefully we can make them understand. And, you know, this is, you know, we try to educate, you know, and with the process, because it is kind of a difficult process. And, you know, we want people to be informed before they come to the polls, hopefully, you know. So we just encourage, if you have any questions, to call our office, ask the questions, you know, before you vote, so that you make sure that, you know, you've thought about it, and you know how you want to vote.
Okay. Great. Good interview.